of natural barriers. Just so you understand, wall's going to cost $10 billion. It's expensive wall. There's going to be a Trump wall. I'll bring it in under budget ahead of schedule too, by the way. But it's going to be it. I have to name it after myself because maybe, like, should I name it after myself? I don't think so. We want more than a wall. But we're going to have a real wall, and it's going to be a great wall, and it's going to work. And we're going to stop drugs from pouring into Maine and New Hampshire and all these places. It's going to work. Believe me, it's going to work. Walls work. Properly done, walls work, and it's going to happen. But just so you understand, they come up to me and they say, but Mexico will never pay. The politicians, people that are on the dais with me. But Donald, first they said there's no wall, right? You can't build a wall. How can you build a wall? China built a wall that's 13,000 miles long 2,000 years ago. We can't do one that's 1,000 miles, right? Believe me, we can. So now they realize that. And the other day I hear this guy Cruz saying, we can't build a wall. And then I hear him saying, we're going to build a wall. And my wife came, darling, could you come back and listen to this? We're going to build a wall. First time I heard him say that. And I don't know if Rubio said it. I think Rubio's got bigger problems than worrying about walls. But now all of a sudden they're talking about walls. But here's the thing. We have with Mexico a $58 billion trade deficit. If the wall costs $10 billion, that's a tiny fraction. If the wall costs $10 billion, I guarantee you, folks, that Mexico is going to pay for the wall, just as sure as you're standing there. Now, a politician wouldn't say that. And you saw this Vicente Fox, the previous president, who, by the way, threw a horrible word out. He threw the F word out, okay, the F-bomb. He threw the F-bomb. Can you imagine if I used that word? Man, that would be a big story. That would be all over the world. He threw it out, nobody cares. And then we had our vice president apologize to him. Now, look, I love Mexico. I love the Mexican people. I have many, many hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of Mexican people. Thousands over the years. Thousands have worked for me. The Hispanics are phenomenal people. I told you, I won the poll in Nevada. These are phenomenal people. I won Nevada, and I won with the Hispanics, which is so good, right? So good. But look, here's the problem. Their leaders are too smart for our leaders. We're getting killed at the border. We're getting killed on trade. Nabisco is moving in from Chicago. They're closing their big plant. They're moving in. You look at Ford. Ford's building a massive, massive car complex there. That means they're closing places in Michigan, great places, Michigan and other places, and they're closing and they're going to Mexico. We can't let that happen. The other day, Carrier announced air conditioners. I buy Carrier air conditioners. They're good air conditioners. I'm not buying them anymore. They announced 1,400 men and women are being laid off. And somebody had the cell phone going, right? A lot of you saw that. Big, big story. 1,400. And this manager was, well, ladies and gentlemen, we are closing our plant. We're moving to Mexico. Bye-bye. He was pretty tough. This was not a guy with social grace, believe me. So they're going to move to Mexico. So here's what we have to do, folks. Mitt Romney said, we have to keep free trade. Right? Well, if we keep free trade the way we have it now, we're not going to have any companies left at all. And you people know more about NAFTA than anybody, okay? Anybody, because you know how you were stripped with NAFTA, which was a disaster. But we're going to do something much different. We're going to be smart people now, okay? I built a tremendous fortune. And believe me, I started off with very little. You know, they like to say, oh, my father. If my father would have given me $200 million, in fact, my sister and brother called me up. They said, Don, what are they kidding? These people are such liars. I borrowed a tiny amount of money, started something, and now it's worth billions and billions and billions of dollars. And I will tell you something, with the Carrier plant, what you have to do is you have to be smart. So this isn't free trade. We have to have smart trade. China charges tremendous tariffs and taxes when you want to sell. I have a friend who's a manufacturer. He makes great product. He puts it into China, they send it back. Puts it in again, they send it back. A third time, they take it, but he has to pay a tremendous tax. He sees me. He goes, oh, Donald, you have no idea how tough it is to negotiate with China. They don't want the product, and when they take the product, they charge you a tax. That's not the way it's supposed to. That's not free trade. Now, China, when they sell their product to us, no tax. Come on in, folks. Take our jobs, everything else. No tax, no nothing. Not going to work that way. Mexico, the same thing. So Ford goes out, builds this $2.5 billion plant. They're going to make cars, trucks, and parts, right? And they're going to send them into our country. No tax. Where is that good for us? So when I watch a guy like Romney, who truly is a lightweight, when you watch a guy like Mitt Romney, no, think of it. He's talking about trade. And I love free trade. I am a free trader. You know, a lot of the conservatives, they say, Donald Trump does not like free trade. Isn't that terrible? I want smart trade. I want trade where at least there's an even balance, right? I don't want to be losing $500 billion a year. I don't want to be losing $58 billion a year. I want to make money or I want to break even at worst, okay? So $58 billion a year. I want to make money or I want to break even at worst, okay? So I tell people, if you had like lightweight Rubio as president, he's all controlled by the special interests, 100%. He gets all his money. Remember, I'm self-funding. They're not paying me anything. So he gets his money. If you have a guy like Ted Cruz getting a lot of money from oil and other places, okay? So, I mean, honestly, that's the way life works. So what happens is oil, 100%. They'll get a lobbyist that took care, 100%. They're not going to do anything. Me, it's different. So here's what I do. Tell Carrier, tell Ford, tell whoever wants to listen. And it's the only way you can do it, folks. The only way we're going to stop this tremendous outflow of companies is the following. And by the way, Pfizer, great, massive company, drug company, pharmaceutical company, leaving, going to Ireland. Wonderful. That's wonderful. But you're not going to take advantage of us, okay? You're not going to take advantage of us. So here's what happens. Let's use Carrier as an example. I know it's not presidential. In fact, my wife called just before. She said, darling, would you please react presidentially? Be presidential. Like you were the other night when you had all those victories. You stood on the stage and everybody liked it. I said, yeah, but I have incoming. When you have incoming, you can't be too presidential. You have, right? Does that make sense? I said, I have incoming. So here's what happens. There's a lot of truth to that. They said, act presidential tonight. I said, I'll act presidential, but if somebody hits me, I'm going to hit him back harder. Right? So what happens, it's one of those things. So what happens is they will not do anything because the lobbyists will call, say, you cannot do anything to Carrier, you cannot do anything to Ford. And they'll say, oh, okay, they gave you a $2 million contribution or a $5 million contribution. You can't touch them. They've been very loyal to you. They've been very good. And they'll go, all right, okay, good. That's the end of that, right? All those jobs gone. Here's what I do. I call up, and I'd like to use one of my guys. Carl Icahn, great businessman, he endorsed me. Many of the great businessmen endorse me, and women. I have a lot of endorsements from business. I'd announce them, except nobody cares. But these are the most important people in a sense, because I will use the greatest minds. We have the greatest business people, the greatest negotiators in the world. But this is so easy. I want to sort of do it myself, but it's so unpresidential for me to be calling up Carrier. I'm the president of the United States. And I call up, I say, hi, Donald Trump, President of the United States. I hope you enjoy your stay in Mexico. I hope you build a beautiful, beautiful factory, beautiful plant. And I really want to wish you well. But let me just tell you something. You moved out, you hurt 1,400 people. These people were devastated, by the way. I watched it. And they've done a great job. You've hurt 1,400 people. And there's no free trade because it's a totally imbalanced. I mean, their politicians are so much sharper and smarter and street-wise than ours. I said, here's the story. Every air conditioning unit that you make, and every single air conditioning unit that you make and comes across the border into the United States, we're going to charge you a 35% tax, okay? 35% tax. And that's it. Now, here's what happens, okay? As sure as you're standing here, look, they're going to call their lobbyists. Oh, you got to speak to the president. But they can't speak to me. I didn't take any of their money. I don't want their money, right? So that's not going to work. Here's what's going to happen. As sure as you're here, they're going to call me up within 24 hours. They're going to say, Mr. President, do you have any second thoughts? I say, absolutely not. They say, sir, we've decided to stay in the United States. See? Very simple. We've decided. Now, we can be cute and we can say we're coming up with all, in Washington, they're playing around with all sorts of formulas. There's no formula. That's the formula. So when Mitt made the statement, he said, he will ruin free trade. Ruin free trade. If I'm losing $505 billion with China, if I'm losing $58 billion a year with Mexico in terms of deficits, what do I want that kind of trade for anyway? Ruin it. Who needs that kind of trade? Seriously, who needs that kind of trade? Now, Mitt admitted that I'm a much better businessman than him, and I am. I'm a much, much, much better businessman than him. We will actually have better relationships with Mexico. We will have better relationships with China. They'll respect us. They don't respect us now. They think we're the dumbest people on earth, led by the world's dumbest people. Now look, let me just tell you something. China, in the South China Sea, is building a massive military fort with runways and a tremendous complex. They're not supposed to be doing that. They didn't tell us. They have no respect for our country. With me, I'm going to rip up those trade deals, and we're going to make really good ones. And by the way, we have the cards, just so you understand. Remember, I wrote The Art of the Deal, which is, in all fairness, I think the #1 selling business book of all time. But just remember this. We have the cards. We have rebuilt China with the money they've taken out of our country for many years, in all fairness. I call it the greatest single theft in the history of the world, what China has done to our country. You go to China, they have trains that go 300 miles an hour. We have trains that go chug, 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 and then they have to stop because the track split, right? They have trains that go 300 miles an hour. They have trains, Japan, China, a lot of countries. We're like third world. You go to our airports, you go to LaGuardia, you land and you go to Dubai, and you go to Qatar, and you go to different places in Asia, and you see airports like you've never seen. Then you come home, you land at Kennedy, you land at LAX, you land at LaGuardia. Oh, LaGuardia. With the potholes all over the place, okay? I mean, it's just a very sad thing what's happened. What's happened to our country is very, very, very sad. So we're going to make it a lot better, and we're going to make it different. And we're going to get rid of those horrible trade deals because, let me tell you, at some point, it's going to burst. At some point, we can't continue to lose $500 billion with individual countries. We can't continue. You add it up. Whether it's India, whether it's Vietnam, whether it's anybody, every single country in the world that deals with us takes advantage of the stupidity of the United States. And a lot of it is because they have the right lobbyists, they have the right negotiators, they hire the right people on Pennsylvania Avenue. They have the right people. And they're negotiating with hacks, political hacks, not our best people, almost our worst people. So we're going to make our country so strong. We're going to make it strong militarily, very, very strong. You know, our military is very depleted. Our military is depleted, very badly depleted. And everything, sort of the whole country is depleted. And we're going to make our military strong. We're going to take care of our vets. Our vets are treated horribly. Horribly. We're going to get rid of Obamacare, and we're going to repeal it and replace it. We're going to bring education local. We're getting rid of Common Core, which is a disaster. You know, in the world, educationally, of the 30 countries that they look at, we're number 30 in education, meaning we're the worst. And yet, per student cost, we're number 1 by far. Number 2 doesn't even exist. It's so far back. Number 1. So we're number 1 in cost, number 1, and we're number 30 in terms of success. So we're ranked the worst, and yet we spend the most, okay? And part of that is Common Core. It's terrible. Part of it's a lot of other things. Part of it's theft and incompetence and waste and fraud and abuse and everything else. But we're going to straighten it out. You know, it's very interesting. When I won New Hampshire, they came out with a report. Donald Trump spent $2.5 million. And I won't mention names, but other people spent $45 million, okay? I don't think he likes me. Do you agree? Okay. But think of it. Wouldn't it be nice? So I have the lowest expenditure by far, and I have the biggest result by far. Way, way, way number 1. Wouldn't it be nice if we could do that for our country instead of the other way around? Wouldn't it be nice? We're going to do that. That's what we're going to do. So we are, very simply, we're going to make America great again. We're going to win, win, win. We're going to win so much. You're going to get so tired of winning. You're going to say, please, please, let us have a couple of losses. I will say, no way I'm going to let you have. We're going to make America great again. And you'll say, okay. Thank you very much. I love you. Please go and vote on Saturday. I love you. Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.